It's time now to review headlines of today's newspapers. Usually would have Steve taking the lead, but the Angels will hold it down today, of course, starting off with This Day, the newspaper of records. The headline story there, which, we're all looking forward to, for Ondo State's governorship contest. It's a two-horse race. How the leading candidates Aye, Datiwa, and Ajayi stand. APC and PDP orders sign peace accord. This story, of course, can be found continued on page 5. And what we're seeing here that This Day has done is put the two candidates side by side and, touched on their strengths and their weaknesses. I don't know if you want to touch on those very quickly.
Lucky Aiyedatiwa, the current governor of Ondo State, who was the deputy governor before the unfortunate passing of his boss. His strength there has been listed as having a backing of the presidency, which I don't know if that's a strength anywhere else but Nigeria. Running on a stellar record of the late governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, who I previously mentioned, and the power of incumbency and resources. It seems his strengths are that he exists as an APC candidate now. The strengths of Ajayi there are that he is a grassroots politician. He knows how to knock on the doors of the common man, has support of the PDP governors, has enough political experience, and is a strong representative of as a House of Reps member, as his deputy there. Now, those strengths seem to go more to the person
than the actual...
Yeah, but the Ondo State elections are not stirring as much interest as the Edo State elections were, and I feel we all know the reason for that one there. So maybe we move to the next story.
Of course, the next story there on the banner, which is something that I am personally excited about, is reads, with 3 nominations, Thames leads Nigerian 2025 Grammy nominees. Beyonce, Taylor Swift make history in female-dominated nominations. That is also on page 5. But what's really fantastic about this story, yesterday night, I remember when the news came out, for the Best African Music Performance nominees, we have so many Nigerians on there. We have Yemi Alade, we have Asake, like they said. We have Wizkid, Chris Brown featuring Davido. It's interesting. I mean, Chris Brown at this stage is our adopted brother, so I'm not surprised to see. I'm not adopting him with you. I'm saying based off of how much he's worked with Nigerian artists and helped in putting Nigerian music on the map. Definitely. So he's on there as well. Lil J Music, Burna Boy, and of course Thames. I remember what happened last year. A lot of Nigerians were there, but eventually it ended up going to Tyler. So I wonder what
for the Afrobeats category.
The Afrobeats category, but now this is for the Best African Music
writer,
Performance.
I don't appreciate anytime I see Taylor Swift's name beside Beyonce's name, but Beyonce has made history.
Why is that? Why don't you?
Because Beyonce, I think the writer should be standalone, because Beyonce has made history with the 11 additional nominations this year as the most nominated artist in history, woman or man, right? So I don't think it should just be compared in when we're celebrating women. Yes, like it is good to say we're celebrating women, that women are dominating the categories. We have Sabrina Carpenter, we have Taylor Swift, we have Charlie XCX. Like, this is amazing. We have Thames, out of Nigeria. We have Arya Starr, who's on tour with Coldplay. Women are doing fantastically amazing things. But I do think that when women stand out, she's standing out, woman or man. She is the most nominated in history, and I think that should be held as a standalone. And sometimes we play into these identity things. Oh, she's a woman, or she's black, or she's this. But sometimes we should recognize greatness for what it is.
Yes, definitely.
So I think the window story there, or above the masthead there, we have concerns amount over incessant power grid collapse. Going from talking about the Grammys, talking about this, I have been outside of my house enjoying my time with mosquitoes as the grid has collapsed twice in 72 hours. Now, earlier in the year, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, did say that it was inevitable due to poor maintenance of our power infrastructure. And I know nobody wants to hear that from the person in charge of fixing the problem, that the problem is inevitable and it's going to continue. But we also, the writer there says the NGF consultant links power contractors to system sabotage, backs decentralized system. Gencos lament impact of non-payment of 2.5 5 trillion naira debt, repeated grid collapse on their operation. Now we have an issue there between the GenCos, which is the generating companies, and DISCOs, who distribute the power. Now, a very important thing there is that there is a current push for decentralized system so that the grid does not collapse everywhere all the time. If you have regional, solutions to these issues, that perhaps our power structure, our power grid will improve.
Definitely.
But, we do need, again, investment in infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, investment in infrastructure is right, but I also feel like there really needs to be they need to pay attention to the actual team, the management team around this. There needs to be an upgrade in the human capability, because if they pump in all of this money, I mean, I feel like power outside of the oil sector has takes a huge chunk out of the budget. But if we are putting that amount of money into that space, and we're not necessarily looking at how like you said, the GenCo, the DISCOs, and even TCN within themselves are actually handling and being proactive with their management, I don't think that we're going to see anything getting better.
But I mean, the issue there is that when you have infrastructure deficit, you also have I would say the issues that what the GenCos are complaining about payment, right? But we are not even generating enough.
But they increase the tariffs. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, the tariffs only go so far, right? The tariffs are for really the richest 1% or the richest 10% of the country. And I know people hate to hear that, because even the country is so poor that the richest 10% are still not rich at all. Definitely. And so these tariffs are very painful to everyone's pockets. But let's move on to The Guardian there, because The Guardian's main story is exactly what we're talking about. Energy crisis in Ivory Towers, why dearth of innovative solutions persist. Again, this is essentially exactly what we are talking about. Yeah. We need more innovative solutions to our power infrastructural issues. It's beyond. We need better funding. We need better infrastructure. We need better talent management, and we also need better responsibility. We also need to hem the flow that are the DISCOs distributing as much as they say they are. We have metering problems. The
I just feel like there's a disconnect between the GenCos, the DISCOs, and TCN, where there are lapses. Which I understand what you're saying. There has to be an investment, in infrastructure, but there's still lapses in how they are managing it. TCN came out to say that they are doing repairs. The repairs could have been handled in such a way that it's phased out in a way that the grid is not collapsing in multiple times. Yeah, but I mean, they did say that the grid collapsed, particularly in the north, because of one substation having a problem, and that's really not something a GenCo's business is like. Sometimes how you have the upstream sector, you have the downstream sector, and oil and gas. Sometimes it's just that my own buck ends here, and from here forward, it's your own responsibility, and we can't hold people responsibility for somebody else's work. Somebody needs to be held responsible for this. The minister needs to sit down with all of these guys and figure out the problem
The minister said that he has called for proper implementation of inter-committee reforms. But, also what I was going to say is that the FCCPC last week, or earlier this week, the head of the FCCPC did say that metering and corruption in metering was a human error problem, and that will be held responsible, and that possibly people will be able to get energy credits if they're metered and they don't get the electricity that they paid for, and that he, as the head of the FCCPC, will hold the companies, the DISCOs accountable for that. So hopefully we need reform from the root of the issue all the way to the meters where the light enters your house.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, then I think we can take the last paper. Tribune.
Oh, we do not have the Tribune here.
So
we just have
that's the Tribune on the screen. Okay, the top story there, the headline reads, 1 week to go, Ondo governor poll, politicians wooing voters with rice and Gary.
Why always rice?
Why not Indomie? Actually, you should not be wooing anybody with anything except for what you want to do, for your state. But that's all that we have for you on the morning show today.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, wooing people with rice and Gary in 2024.
I mean, people are hungry.
Yes, which is exactly why they can woo them with rice and hungry, because you disempower people and then you now give them handouts and pretend that that's empowerment. That's absolutely abhorrent behavior from our political class, but it continues to win them elections.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for watching. I'm Sheiton Atigari.
Well, I'm Adesua Giwalsagi, and from my entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day.